She's the loser of our family." The room burst into laughter. Glasses clinked. Someone actually clapped. My brother leaned back in his chair, smug, enjoying the moment like it was a punchline he'd rehearsed. My mom smiled beside him, tight, approving, the kind of smile that says good, put her in her place. I didn't laugh. I didn't flinch either. "Hi. My name is Evelyn Carter. I'm 32. I'm the younger sister. The quiet one. The one who never needed much, according to my family. The one they stopped worrying about once I stopped asking for help. We were at my uncle's house for his birthday. String lights in the backyard, catered food, my brother's biggest clients, mingling with our relatives. It was supposed to be his night. His stories. His success. That's why he said it. Because for years, calling me a loser had been our family's favorite sport. Evelyn's still figuring things out, my mom used to say. Evelyn doesn't like pressure, my brother would add. And I let them, because it was easier than correcting them. When my brother laughed, I noticed something he didn't. One of his guests, the man in the charcoal suit near the drinks, had stopped smiling. He was staring at me, not with pity, with recognition. My brother kept going, warming up to the crowd. I mean, really, he said, waving his glass toward me, some people just aren't built to win. The man in the charcoal suit slowly stood. A hush crept across the table. And in that silence, my brother finally realized he might have just insulted the wrong person. People like to believe humiliation starts in one moment. It doesn't. It builds quietly, over years of small dismissals that stack like unpaid debts. Growing up, my brother, Marcus, was the golden child. Loud, confident, always destined for leadership. My mother loved to say he had presence. Teachers forgave him. Relatives bragged about him. When he failed, it was experience. When I succeeded, it was luck. I learned early that correcting them only made things worse. So I didn't. After college, Marcus started a consulting company. My mom told everyone I was taking time off. What she didn't tell them was that I'd been hired by a private investment firm. Quiet work, strict NDAs, no LinkedIn bragging. I signed papers that required silence. I agreed, because I liked peace more than praise. Marcus didn't ask questions. He never did. At family gatherings, he'd tease. I'd smile politely. My mom would nod along, satisfied. That night at the party felt the same, until I noticed how carefully the man in the charcoal suit was watching me. Not like a guest, like someone checking facts before speaking. And suddenly, the past didn't feel like baggage. It felt like leverage. Because some people mistake silence for weakness. And I had been silent for a very long time. Marcus loved an audience. Once he felt it slipping, he leaned harder into the joke. Come on, he said, grinning at the table. You all know I'm right. Evelyn's always been background. A few people laughed. A few looked down at their plates. I felt my mother's hand brush my arm. Not comfort, not warning. Ownership. Like she was reminding me where I belonged. Marcus, she said lightly, don't be cruel. But she didn't tell him to stop. That's when I noticed the shift. The man in the charcoal suit wasn't alone anymore. Two other guests, clearly not family, had turned toward him. One whispered something. The other frowned, confused. Marcus followed their gaze and finally saw me the way they were seeing me. Not as his sister. As a variable. I met his eyes for the first time that night and gave him a small, calm smile. The kind you give when you know something the other person doesn't. His grin faltered for half a second. Just enough. He cleared his throat, lifted his glass again. Anyway, he said, louder, forcing control back into his voice, to success. Mine, at least. The man in the charcoal suit set his drink down. Slowly. Deliberately. And that's when I realized this wasn't going to stay a family joke. The man in the charcoal suit stepped forward. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't smile. He simply adjusted his cuff and said, Marcus, before we toast, may I ask something? Marcus blinked, caught off guard. Sure. The man turned slightly, enough that everyone could see him clearly now. You just called Evelyn the loser of your family. A nervous chuckle rippled through the table. Yes, Marcus said, forcing a laugh. Sibling humor. The man nodded once. Then he looked at me. Evelyn Carter, Director of Strategic Acquisitions. Horizon Equity. The backyard went silent. My mother's smile froze. Marcus's face drained so fast it was almost impressive. The man continued, calm and precise. The firm that owns 51% of your company. The firm that approved your last expansion. The firm you've been pitching to all evening without realizing she was sitting right here. Someone dropped a fork. My mom turned to me, whispering my name like it was a mistake she wanted to take back. Marcus opened his mouth. Nothing came out. I finally stood. And that's when the real humiliation began. For a moment, I didn't say anything. I let the silence do what it needed to do. I could feel my heartbeat in my ears, but my hands were steady. That surprised me. I'd imagined this moment 100 times in quieter ways, standing up to Marcus, correcting my mother, reclaiming my name. I never imagined it would happen under string lights with dessert plates still on the table. I didn't hide who I was, I said gently. I just didn't announce it. Marcus swallowed. Evelyn, why didn't you tell us?
Us.
Now it was us. I looked at my mother. She couldn't meet my eyes. That hurt more than his joke ever did. I signed confidentiality agreements, I said. And, honestly, no one ever asked. The man in the suit stepped back, giving the floor back to me like a stage. I'm not here to embarrass anyone, I added. But I am here to set a boundary. Marcus laughed weakly. Okay, let's not make this a thing. I smiled.
Calm.
Controlled. Oh, I said. I already did. Because weeks before this party, I'd reviewed Marcus's company. Every contract. Every dependency. And tonight wasn't revenge. It was timing. My phone buzzed in my pocket. The first domino had just fallen. I didn't pull my phone out right away. I let it buzz again. Marcus noticed. His eyes flicked to my pocket, then back to my face. What's going on? He asked too quickly. I stepped away from the table and answered the call. Yes, I said quietly. You have my approval. When I hung up, the man in the charcoal suit exhaled slowly, like he'd been holding his breath for weeks. Marcus stood. Approval for what? For the restructure, I said. Effective Monday. The word landed heavy. His voice rose. You can't just, this is my company. I tilted my head.
No.
It's the company you run. There's a difference. I explained it calmly. How Horizon would be consolidating vendors. How leadership roles would be reviewed. How performance would finally matter more than charm. My mother shook her head. Evelyn, sweetheart, you don't have to do this. I looked at her then. Really looked. I do, I said. Because this isn't punishment. It's correction. Marcus's hands were shaking now. And for the first time in my life, he was the one losing control. Marcus followed me toward the driveway, his voice dropping into something urgent and ugly. Evelyn, wait. We're family. That word again. Family, when he needed mercy. Loser, when he needed a laugh. You blindsided me, he said. In front of everyone. I stopped and turned to him. No, I said. You revealed yourself in front of everyone. I just didn't protect you from it. He ran a hand through his hair, panic finally breaking through the confidence. You're going to ruin me. I shook my head. I'm not ruining you. I'm taking my hands off the wheel you never learned to drive. Inside, I could hear my mother crying. That sound used to pull me apart. Tonight, it didn't. Marcus's voice cracked. You could have warned me. I met his eyes. You could have respected me.
He had no answer.
Behind us, guests whispered. Clients avoided his gaze. The man in the charcoal suit was already speaking quietly into his phone, efficient, final. Marcus looked smaller than I'd ever seen him. And in that moment, I understood something clearly. This wasn't about revenge. It was about gravity finally working. And it wasn't done yet. Monday morning, I sat in a glass conference room overlooking the city. Marcus wasn't there. His resignation had come in at 8:07 a.m., brief, defensive, signed with a title he no longer held. The board accepted it without discussion. Stability mattered more than ego. By noon, my mother called. She didn't apologize. She asked, "Was it worth it?" I watched traffic crawl below me, all those lives moving forward without permission. "I didn't do this to hurt him," I said. "I did it to stop shrinking." She was quiet for a long time. Then, softer, "I didn't know you were that powerful." I closed my eyes. That, I said, was the problem. At the next family gathering, my chair was still there. So was Marcus's. But the laughter sounded different now. Careful, exposed. The man in the charcoal suit nodded to me from across the room, respectful, distant. No one called me a loser again. Not because they were afraid, but because they finally knew who I was. And the truth has a way of standing up on its own.